The collapse beacon fired at 3:14 station time, 11 seconds after the power grid in the Imperial Relay Annex failed for the third time that hour. I know this because the transmission log is open on my terminal now, and it has been open for 2 days, and I have not yet filed the incident record, because I cannot find a category that fits what I am reading. Let me start with what I know. The Vethani Imperial Sovereignty Beacon, designation Koreth Primary, is hard-coded to broadcast on Imperial Band Koreth 1 in the event of a mass displacement or command collapse event exceeding threshold level 7. It is an inward broadcast. That is the design. It sends to sovereign assets only Fleet Command, garrison relays, the Council's own emergency comms network. It is not a cry for help. It is an administrative signal, the kind that says, "The structure is falling, record that the structure is falling, and let the structure's own people know." We did not aim it at anyone outside the Empire. We did not aim it at Earth. We did not aim it anywhere that was not already ours. The problem is that the corridor outside Koreth Station was not entirely ours. I did not know this until I pulled the Joint Survey Accord records this morning, and I will admit, sitting here in the annex with the dome glass still cracked from the Dominion's first artillery pass, and the dust still settling through the light, that I feel something I do not have an administrative category for either. 38 years ago, the Empire countersigned a Terran Joint Deep Survey Accord. The accord allowed a single Terran patrol vessel to run a circuit through Corridor Orvith Null, the same corridor that brackets Koreth Station on its spinward flank, for the purpose of mapping gravitational anomaly density in the outer transit lanes. The accord was for 12 years. It was renewed twice by administrative habit and never formally closed. The last renewal notation in the file is 31 years old. No one on our side had looked at it since. The patrol vessel assigned to that circuit was the Ardent Margin. I have pulled its registry record from the Terran Open Survey database, which I accessed through the emergency relay this morning using credentials I was not entirely certain would still work. The Ardent Margin is described as a deep survey corvette, mid-weight, crew of 41, survey grade, not fleet-rated. It had been running Corridor Orvith Null for 38 years. It knew the corridor the way I know the layout of this annex, by long habit, by the particular sound of the ventilation system, by the exact weight of each file drawer. When the collapse beacon fired on band Koreth 1, the Ardent Margin was 11 light minutes out on its routine pass, instruments live, running its standard anomaly sweep. The band was on its active monitoring suite, not because anyone told it to monitor band Koreth 1. Because the original Joint Survey Accord had included a side-lobe bleed provision for exactly this section of corridor, and the provision had never been removed from the ship's standing orders, and the ship had kept its standing orders for 38 years because no one had sent new ones. The Ardent Margin received the collapse beacon at 3:25 station time. I have the acknowledgement log. The ship's duty comms officer, a name I cannot pronounce but which I have copied into this record exactly as it appears in the transmission header, flagged the signal within 4 minutes as a mass displacement event above threshold, under a Terran fleet monitoring protocol called Article 11. Article 11 requires any Terran vessel that receives a mass casualty or mass displacement signal on a monitored band to assess its own response capacity and escalate if that capacity is insufficient. The Ardent Margin assessed its own capacity. It was a survey corvette with a crew of 41. There were, at that moment, 3 Dominion assault carriers in low orbit above Koreth Station and an interdiction screen across both transit corridors. The Ardent Margin was 11 light minutes out in survey grade. Its assessment, logged in one line, reads, "Capacity insufficient, escalating per Article 11. It then forwarded the collapse beacon, our collapse beacon, the Empire's inward administrative signal aimed at its own sovereign assets, upband to Terran Fleet Relay Station Orvith 7, with the Ardent Margin's own duty officer identifier attached as the originating authority, and a single annotation that I have read perhaps 40 times since this morning. Korath Station, corridor null, threshold exceeded. Please advise soonest. I want to be precise about what happened next, because the precision is the part I find I cannot put down. Terran Fleet Relay Orvith 7 received the forwarded beacon at 3:41 station time. The relay station's automated response matrix read the compound signal, our beacon plus the ardent margins escalation flag, as an Article 11 mass displacement event with a supervising vessel notation. Under the relay station's standing protocol, an Article 11 event with a supervising vessel attached does not wait for command authorization. It dispatches the nearest available relief assets under the supervising vessel's authority. The nearest available relief assets were a Terran survey tender, a medical corvette, and an engineering platform, running a routine corridor survey transit 2 hours out from Korath's spinward approach. They were diverted at 3:44 station time. The diversion order was generated by the relay station's automated dispatch system. No flag officer signed it. No command council reviewed it. A relay station's automated matrix, reading our collapse beacon through our own corridor, sent 3 ships toward Korath Station on the authority of a survey corvette, running a 38-year-old circuit that nobody on our side remembered was still active. The 3 ships entered Korath's approach corridor at 6:13 station time. Their transponders were broadcasting on open identification channels. The Dominion interdiction screen read them at 6:14. I have reviewed the Dominion's withdrawal log, which our signals intelligence recovered from the relay traffic 3 days prior. The Dominion Fleet Commander's notation reads in my rough translation: unknown Terran relief element. Composition unclear. 3 vessels on approach. Transponder configuration consistent with military auxiliary rating. Stand down to assess. Hold interdiction pending further intelligence. They held the interdiction screen for 4 hours, assessing. The 3 ships held their approach corridor. The ardent margin came up behind them at 6:27, running its standard anomaly sweep. Instruments live, as if nothing had changed, and the corridor was still only a survey route in a filing drawer 38 years deep. The Dominion withdrew at 10:47 station time. I do not know precisely why. The intelligence assessment is ongoing, but I note for the record that the Dominion Fleet Commander's final notation before withdrawal reads, Terran element does not withdraw, cannot determine force ceiling, disengaging. The relief convoy's ramp lowered at 11:03 station time. 41 metric tons of medical supplies, 7 emergency habitat modules, and 1 engineering team of 12. The survey tender's commanding officer filed the incident report with Terran Fleet Relay Orvith 7 at 11:17. The incident report classifies the event as a routine Article 11 escalation, resolved without incident. It notes the ardent margin's initial acknowledgement as the originating authority. It recommends no further action. I am sitting with all of this now in the annex, and I am trying to file it. The problem is the category. The Imperial Record System has categories for siege relief, for treaty-based intervention, for Allied response under Mutual Defense Compact, for unsolicited humanitarian contact. None of them fit. The ardent margin was not our ally. It was not treaty-bound to respond. It did not intervene. It assessed its capacity, found it insufficient, and forwarded the signal to someone who had more. It did not fire a weapon. It did not lower a ramp. It ran its circuit, kept its standing orders, and escalated through the proper channels of a 38-year-old, a chord that we had forgotten we had signed. I have created a new category. I have labeled it in the administrative system as External Response Mechanism Unclassified. It is an unsatisfying label. I know it is unsatisfying. I will return to it. I have read the duty comms officer's acknowledgement log 3 times. It is 4 lines. It does not mention the Empire. It does not mention Korath Station by name. It says, signal received on band Korath 1. Mass displacement threshold exceeded. Capacity assessment complete. Escalating. The annotation on the escalation packet says, "Please advise soonest." The ship kept the band on its monitoring suite because the original accord said to. It escalated because Article 11 said to. It continued its anomaly sweep because its standing orders said to. Somewhere in the relay traffic record, in a footnote I almost missed, is the Ardent Margins routine survey log for that shift, filed at 700 station time, noting 2 gravitational anomaly readings in the outer transit lane and recommending a follow-up pass next quarter. I filed that footnote too, under external response mechanism unclassified. I do not think the mechanism was unclassified. I think I do not have the right word for a ship that keeps its instruments live for 38 years on a circuit everyone else forgot. Here's a signal that was never aimed at it, does the next correct thing, and then goes back to its survey. The collapse beacon was aimed inward, at our own people, at our own assets, at the sovereign structure of an empire that was, in that moment, failing. We did not aim it at Earth. We did not aim it at a survey corvette running a forgotten accord through a corridor we had long since stopped thinking of as shared. The Ardent Margin was there anyway. 38 years of standing orders and an open band and a duty comms officer who knew what Article 11 said to do. I have filed the incident record under the new category. In the margin, I added one note. It is not administrative language, but it is the closest I can come to accurate. The signal was not sent to them. They were the only ones listening.